Hello, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome back. We're back, the pod of many things, the Roundtable Chill D&D podcast for what seems to be season 2.1, isn't it, Leon? We had a bit of a rocky start to the new season.
Yeah. So you went back to work. My work started getting really busy, and it was difficult. But hopefully we can commit to it this time. I did a video yesterday. I had a day off work. Didn't really have anything to do because obviously it's lockdown. So I thought let's try and make a video. Let's learn the skills to do it and then go and do it. So basically a video that's kind of like a diary of my Theros campaign, which, if you've listened to the podcast, you would know that I was super excited about, and since we've last spoken, I've done about 8 sessions of that Theros campaign, and if you want to find out what's going on, go and watch the video.
Oh, it was good. I thought that was really, really cool.
The editing sucks, but it will be a lot better next time.
No, we're learning, aren't we? We're trying out some new things this season with our faces. You can see us now. That's weird. But yeah, no, I think we're back. I think we were not prepared for the post-quarantine podcasting grind, were we? We were prepared to do it being locked away in our houses, but then as soon as life semi-returned to normal, we were like, oh, we forgot. But hopefully we're back. We're timetabled in.
It's a lot of work. The first time around, we were literally talking about it all day, every day. And then, once work kicks in, you can't really have those all day conversations anymore. But yeah, we are back at it. We'll figure it out.
So, Leon, what happened this week? Tell me something interesting. What's happened this week?
Well, first and foremost, Boris Johnson has announced an extra £16 billion for the UK military, which will include the creation of a Space Force. So I expect Netflix to make a show about that as well. Despite the fact that the Steve Carell one on Netflix was terrible.
It'll be like British Office.
Yeah, BBC
it'll be like The Office
not
British.
Playing the Fairy Tale of New York anymore because it's got offensive language in it. But I'm guessing these are not the news headlines that you're looking for, Addison.
No, we are a roundtable chill D&D podcast. So what is the D&D news this week, Leon?
Well, it says right there, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything came out apparently. They say it came out, but it's not on my shelf yet.
No, it's not on mine either. I think we should talk about that first before. So recently, with quite a few of the books, the launches have been rocky as hell. You would expect it to be pretty straightforward. Theros was slightly delayed, wasn't it? Was Theros slightly delayed?
Theros was delayed.
Eberron
I pre-ordered on Amazon. That got pushed back, so I ordered it from somewhere else. The other place I ordered it from, they pushed it back as well. Same thing happened with Tasha's. It was supposed to come out a couple of days ago. Today's the 19th. I think it was supposed to come out on the 17th, the physical release.
Yeah.
That got delayed to the 1st of December. Amazon delayed my release date, my arrival date, to the 16th of December.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, and then I cancelled my pre-order. I thought I'll order it somewhere else. But everywhere else, it was pretty much the same. But then today, on the 19th of November, they said, oh yeah, we've cast haste on Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and
That's
it's going to be
way.
in about 7 days. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know how you can speed up international shipping out of nowhere by 3 weeks.
No, we've been talking about it because it released digitally, and we were a bit like, why would you release it digitally if you weren't going to sell the book? I get it.
Man.
Yeah, you think it's a conspiracy. I'm a bit is it a friendly local game store thing? They're trying to give them a bit of a boost at this troubling time, in these unprecedented times, as the news would say.
I've just realized pictures are the wrong way around, so I'm just going to move them back. There we go.
So as you can see our ugly mugs, but we're experimenting and we've fixed it. But yeah, no, it is mental. But we've managed to get ourselves a digital copy between us, and we're going to have a look at it today. We're going to try and get as much done today as we can. and look at it, and we're going to judge whether Tasha's Cauldron of Everything is boiling hot or barely bubbling, and see what we think about everything. So I've had the chance to read through it a little bit. You've had the chance to read through it a little bit. So should we do a summary of what we think beforehand and then go through it bit by bit, or do you want to go through it bit by bit and then summarize at the end?
I've only really read the character stuff so far. So let's just start with that. Then I can go away, read the rest, and then we can come back and do another video.
So character options, they've brought out a way to customize your character's origin by changing some of your racial traits. So things like ability score changes, things like what languages you know, skill proficiencies, tool proficiencies. They've given guidance on changing subclasses, which I think is pretty cool. That I'm quite excited for that bit. Obviously we've got the Artificer class newly printed into a book, basically for Adventurers League, isn't it? I guess. If you want to play Adventurers League and you get Pt.1, they've put Artificer in a book with a load of other stuff, and then we've got
all the other subclasses for that they've released in settings, like the Circle of Spores, the Bard of Eloquence, the Paladin of Glory. Everything that's basically been printing in another book has been put in this one with a few extras.
Yeah, and then feats for anyone who uses the optional rules. So some new feats, some new ways to swap out skills. From what I can see, of certain classes, so you can go right, instead of taking the thing you'd usually take at that level, you can take this instead.
It specifically says feats for anyone who uses that optional rule. If you're not using the feats, there's something wrong with you.
No, you should definitely be using the optional rule, definitely. So let's go into customizing our origin first. And so the customizing our origin thing is the idea of you can change the ability scores of any race to be equal to what you would get from your race and sub-race anyway. So, for example, Wood Elves get +2 Dex, 1 Wisdom.
Yep.
So you would get 3 ability points to assign to anything. If you're a Wood Elf, any stat, as long as you divide them +2 and +1.
Yep.
And then you've got languages. You can change what languages you speak at the beginning, and then you can change your proficiencies 1-for-1 pretty much. So you can change a skill proficiency for a skill proficiency, armor for simple martial weapons or a tool, simple weapons for simple weapon or tool, martial weapons for simple or martial weapons or tool, and tool for tool or simple weapons. So basically you can, if you think I don't really need this, you can change it.
Yeah, this
from your
all,
racial
all of
feats.
These things are things that yourself and I have discussed in the past, particularly the ability score increases, because you haven't really been a fan of doing that for races, whereas I have. And
I will admit I'm not a massive fan. Yeah,
no, I'm a really big fan of this. I've said for a very long time that I don't think any specific race should be limited to any ability score increases. That said, there's a line in here somewhere. I'm trying to find it, but I can't find it. Where it says the suggested ability score improvements and such in the book are basically an average. An average isn't the right word. They're basically an archetype, and characters can go against that archetype. And I think that's absolutely fine. If any of my players did want to change anything about the race that they're playing, the only thing that I would ask is them to come up with a solid backstory as to why your Tabaxi has a +2 in strength instead of a +2 in dex. And, I think, as long as the player is willing to come up with a good story, I do not have a problem with it at all.
I get that, but I think that having that detriment in terms of your natural abilities is more interesting. To negate the fact that people are good at things because of who they are is kind of a dangerous bland thing. And a lot of people are well, it's going to stop min-maxers, and that's one of their major arguments is that this will stop min-maxing, stop you locking in,
nor hinder min-maxing. Min-maxing isn't going away, and this isn't going to do anything to stop it. Or
Exactly. That's my thing. Like they're like, oh, well, stop people to being certain races, and we'll get more interesting characters. Or you could just play them. Like if you like, you've got to convince your players that that's something interesting to play. Like it's not.
No, I disagree.
It's
I disagree. I think that is interesting for you as a person, Addison, but the player who is coming up with their own version of what's interesting for them is what's more important.
Yeah, true. I'll give you that. Like that's my personal takeaway. So I wouldn't stop anybody from using these.
Yeah.
Like
You just don't personally
in my
like it, and
games.
that's fine.
I just don't personally like it. I tell you what I would have preferred, and I know this is going to sound fucking mad, but I would have preferred like a genealogy chart. Like so if basically if one of your parents was a dwarf and one of your parents was an elf, the result of that, I would have preferred something like that. Like
Is breeding in
what
D&D
happened?
that easy? Like, can any humanoid race just breed with any humanoid race? I don't think they can. And it
it
starts
depends
to get
on setting.
It starts to get a little bit weird.
Yeah,
Looking at
that's
it like that.
yeah, but that I would have liked something like that, like because there's some interesting things that could, and it does depend on like setting, like depending on what setting you're in.
Yeah.
It's easier to get half elves and half orcs in certain settings than it is in others. So yeah, but yeah, I in terms of the proficiency swap and the language swap, I kind of did this anyway. I feel as if I didn't have as certain a rules as this at points, but I kind of was like, well, don't people just do that? Like,
Yeah,
so I was a bit surprised to see it.
Yeah, if somebody comes to me and says, "Leon, can I swap my survival for perception?" I don't think I'm really going to use survival in this campaign. I don't really care. Just go for it. It's not game breaking. It's not going to ruin any of your precious Adventurers League balance. Who the hell cares? It's just an extra tick in a different box.
Yeah, so that's why I'm quite surprised to see that, admittedly. I think it's cool to have like an official ruling for things like Adventurers League. I feel as if this book is very much for Adventurers League. All these additional like rules and stuff are very much for the Adventurers League, like to make things a bit more clearer for them. Yeah. But in terms of everything else, I'm kind of a bit like, meh, okay. I'm not really here for this. I'm here for the bit after this with the subclasses, because there are some awesome subclasses that I need to talk about, otherwise I'm going to die. Like but yeah, changing the skills, I will say I'm really interested in the changing of a subclass thing, like so being able to like literally switch subclasses. That's cool.
Now you and I are diametrically opposed to the racial stuff. We are diametrically opposed to the changing of the subclass as well, because I don't like this. It doesn't make any sense to me. You're telling me a wizard can easily switch from evocation to divination. It doesn't make any sense. The only place where I feel this makes sense, and I'm not going to put any limitations on what my players want to do. If it's in the rules and they want to make a change, they can go for it. The only place it really makes sense for me is for clerics and paladins who get their powers from gods and have specific oaths which they can change, or domains which they can change. That's the only real place it makes sense for me. That said, Alex, who's a good friend of the show, Alex did say to me the other day it would make sense for something like a rogue thief going to a rogue assassin, for example. All that said, I still don't like the idea of it, but I'm not going to stop anybody from using it.
My thing with it is I like I build character narrative in my stories as a DM, and like so I wouldn't they've put like a mechanic in it, like every time you'd gain a subclass feature, you can change subclass, and I'm a bit like no, I wouldn't go that far. But if narratively it made sense for your character, because you've been instead of hanging around like thieves, like you said with the rogue, instead of hanging around with thieves, you've been on the sea for a while, and actually you're like, you know what, a pirate's life's for me, bruv. Like I would allow for that. And it says to change your subclass you need to spend some time devoted to the transition, and I think like having that like training montage moment of them going, right, I'm changing my life in this massive way and showing my commitment, it would be good for monks as well, like monks who learn different martial arts styles and stuff like that. That would be cool.
Addison, I am the biggest bullshitter ever. as we're discussing this, I have done this before. I have allowed a player to change their subclass. When I'm such a hypocrite. I'm such a hypocrite. Now, when I was playing Waterdeep Dragon Heist, Jack, who's been on the show before, he was playing it was either a Fiend Lock or a Gulok, one of those. But then suddenly one day he discovered he discovered the Raven Queen Warlock, and he was just so inspired by it, and he really wanted to play it. But neither of us wanted him to change the actual character themselves. So the way I dealt with that was I put a quest into the game where he had to go and do something for the Raven Queen, and she would essentially pay off his debt to his patron, who was Asmodeus, and she would offer him the power as well. So yeah, if you as a DM and as a player can come up with a good in-story way of doing it, then fuck it, go for it.
Because they've given some examples here, and one of them I agree with, one I'm a bit like, and then one I'm just like, no. Like, so they've given the example of an Oath of Devotion paladin failed to stop a demonic horde from ravaging their homeland.
Yep.
After spending a night in sorrowful prayer, she rises the next morning with the features of the Oath of Vengeance. That makes sense. I'm going to go take the next one. No, like this takes years of training.
A wizard lies down whose roots reach into the Feywild. In his dreams, he faces visions of multiple possible futures. So he's basically doing Doctor Strange. When he awakens, his subclass features have been replaced by those of the School of Divination.
No, you dropped acid, man. That doesn't result in a massive change. Like, stop it. Like,
there was some mushrooms in that oak tree.
Yeah. Whereas the cleric of War Domain spent years in conflict with enemies of her temple, but one day she wanders into a sun-dabbled glade where her god once shed a tear of mercy over the world. Drinking from the glade's brook, the cleric is filled with such compassion for all people, as she now bears the powers of the life domain. That's meh. Like, I think that makes sense, but I'd be a bit like, no, there's got to be some sort of quest.
Replace the word life with peace. Make that peace domain.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a lot more sense. But yeah, I guess what we're both trying to say is we're fine with it. You just need to have a really good, story.
Yeah, really good story. That's gonna have some thing between you and your player as a DM going, right, if you want to do this, how are we going to do it? Here's my 2 pence. Because I'd make it very them led. So they tell me what they want to do, and then I'll go, right, how have you considered this? It would be very much in their hands. I wouldn't want to be a DM that goes, yeah, the only time I've ever done that is under severe circumstances where I've changed people's classes. So, for example, when Craig played a warlock and then killed his patron, he killed his
patron?
Yeah, so he didn't do it personally. He couldn't,
right.
But he basically set the party up to kill his patron for him, and then basically I had to then make him a giant soul sorcerer from Unearthed Arcana because of the fact that his body had been so permeated with giant magical energy that it had changed forever. So he became a sorcerer, and we had to talk about that for a while because it was like, oh god, how are we going to do this? You don't have a patron anymore. How can you be a warlock? So we changed it. We managed to make that work.
Okay.
But yeah, let's get on to the main bit then.
Yeah, we're on to the
first.
The classes, the subclasses.
Do you want to do the first 2 artificers because they've been out for a while? No, or do you just want to move down to armor?
Skip to the new ship.
Yeah. So artificer, I've played Bolly. And much to Leon's chagrin, I've played Bolly, and Artificer Artillerist is still the best Artificer. But having seen my friend Matt play the Armourer when it was a UA, and looking at the new Armourer in this, I'm thinking that actually Armourer might be the best Artificer class now. So basically, an Armourer Artificer is someone who imbues different bits of equipment into almost like a magical Iron Man suit, and you can make them have different effects. it can become like a second skin. It can be like the nanobot armor. Eventually, you can make it have like a helmet with targeting in it. It's pretty dope. You can like flavor magic missile to like come out of your shoulders and stuff like that. It's just, I think it's really cool. What do you think about it? Because I really like it.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo everything that you've already said. It sounds kind of cool. I don't have much experience playing or DMing artificers in general. It's probably the class that I have the least amount of knowledge of. But from what I've read, it does sound like it would be fun to play.
Yeah, because you can like modify. I think in this one, unlike with the UA one, you can like change the function of your armor whenever you finish a short or long rest. So you can be like a guardian, which is like the bulky dude, and that gives you different things. Or you can be like stealth dude.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like a video game protagonist. Like you can change your armor setups to have cool little benefits for what you want to do. Specifically, arcane armor modification sounds cool. Armor chest piece, boots, helmet, and armor special weapon. Each of those items can bear one of your infusions, and the infusions transfer over if you change your armor's model. So basically, you can, for the armor now counts as separate items. So you can like have something on your helmet, you can have something on your chest piece, you can have something on your hands, rather than just going, yeah, it goes on my armor. Which is pretty sick.
It's a magical mech, isn't it? It's Iron
Man
powered by magic instead of what's he powering his suit with now? Some other stuff I can't remember. But yeah, it's basically they've sat down and said, okay, how can we put a mech in a fantasy setting? That's essentially what they've done here.
So when Matt played it, we were playing in that Disney campaign, weren't we?
Yes. He was playing Buzz Lightyear.
And that was Callum. Matt played Hero Hamada from Big Hero.
Yes.
From Big Hero 6, and that's why he used this, because it made sense, and it did. It like really made sense. So that was pretty fun. I quite like that. I have a soft spot for the Artificer. I haven't got to play it properly because obviously Bolly didn't survive long enough, but hopefully one day.
Yeah, we lost 2 seconds.
One day we will no longer be COVID. I'm still really baffled about the Steel Defender for the Artificer. I don't get why the Steel Defender...
The companion.
Well, so the Steel Defender is the companion. It's the Battlesmith that has it. I'm like, what? That makes no sense. I don't understand why it gets something that's better than everything else.
Yeah. Anyway, we're here to talk about the new shit. Let's not go over the old shit. That takes us to Barbarian next. Shall we start with the optional class features and have a look at what's in here?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get to it because it's like I'm getting all like the extra stuff.
Okay, well,
because that had no.
While you find it, I'll go through the new class features. So at level 3, when you reach 3rd level, and again at 10th level, you gain proficiency in one skill of your choice from the list of skills available to barbarians at 1st level. That's called Primal Knowledge. That sounds fine. Don't really have any problems with that. You know, again, it's a proficiency. Proficiencies, in my view, are not in the slightest way game breaking, so there's no harm in giving somebody an extra one.
So would you, just a question with that one because I found it, would you give that on top of what they get at level 3 and 10?
Well, at level 3 is when you get your subclass, so I think this is intended to be on top of.
Yeah.
So yeah, I absolutely would. I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have. That's what I would say the same thing.
Whilst we're discussing this, actually, I just want to point out that this book, to me, feels very much like 5.5e.
Because I want to talk about it later, and we might not get to it in this one. But the whole
adding so much on top of it that it really does feel like a 5.5e. But anyway, at level 7 you get Instinctive Pounce. So as part of the bonus action you take to enter rage, you can move up to half your speed.
Cool.
Again, that's quite a huge thing to give to a barbarian. And yeah, I don't see any problem giving this to any of my players. I can't see it affecting balance too much. At that 7th level, you're already quite powerful anyway.
You're already moving quite fast as well because you'll have unarmored movement anyway.
Exactly.
So, like, it doesn't. I think the only risk it does run is that you get that on top of. So you can move up to half your speed.
Yeah.
So you can't. You get that on top of your already quite a substantial movement, and people will be like, "But that's the monk's job," and I'm like, "Well, it's I guess, but not really.
Well, the
It's
monk
fine."
gets it all the time. The barbarian's only going to get it when they rage.
Yeah.
And it's only half
So
the
that's
speed. Next, we got
yeah.
something else at level 3 as well. We got Primal Paths. So at 3rd level, a Barbarian gains the Primal Path feature. The subclass. What am I talking about? Why am I reading this verbatim? But anyway, we've got a couple new subclasses for the Barbarian. We have, firstly, the Path of the Beast. Barbarians who walk the Path of the Beast draw their rage from a bestial spark burning within their souls. The beast bursts forth in the throes of rage, physically transforming the Barbarian, which... from a
werewolf barbarians.
sounds amazing. Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Like,
you got a few, you got a few origins in there as well. You got lycanthrope, you got the archdruid, you got a fey spirit, and then you got an ancient animal spirit. So yeah, really, really deep on flavor on this one. And as part of this subclass, you get at level 3 Form of the Beast. So when you rage, you get basically natural weapons. You get a bite attack, you get a claw attack, and you get a tail attack.
But you have to choose it, don't you? You have to choose which one you're going to have.
Each time you rage, you can choose that one that you have. So yeah, the bite is 1d8. The claws are 1d6 slashing. But on each of your turns when you attack with a claw using the attack action, you can make one additional claw attack, which is cool. Just going back to the bite, on each of your turns when you damage a creature with the bite, you regain a number of hit points equal to your proficiency bonus, which is awesome. And then for the tail, that's a D8 attack, and it has the reach property. And if a creature you can see within 10 feet of you hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to swipe your tail and roll a d8, applying the bonus to your AC equal to the number rolled, potentially causing...
So basically you block with the tail.
Yeah,
which
is like a tail whip from Pokemon.
Yeah. Admittedly, I think this is quite cool. I quite like this when they released it as UA. I like the choice you get. Like you get... Because you could also flavour that to be really cool, that like maybe your barbarian doesn't like manifesting the tail because it's painful.
Yeah.
Like, but you're like, oh shit, I've got to use it, and then you grow the tail, and you're like, ow, 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 ow. Like,
what it's also done is it's given you an opportunity to play as a lycanthrope, and because it's rather vague with the names of the attack, you got bite, claws, tail. You could essentially play any lycanthrope animal you want to, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, you could play like monkey. You could play scorpion, like because it says mandibles for the bite attack. So
exactly,
it is pretty cool. I don't know. I know it's not official, but do you think this is because the Blood Hunter isn't official, that they've kind of looked at this sort of thing? Because it's quite Order of the Lycanthrope Blood Huntery, except it doesn't do damage to yourself, which is one of Blood Hunter's major drawbacks.
Maybe.
I guess.
I doubt they'd want to do anything that would specifically step on Mr. Matt Mercer's toes intentionally, since they seem to be really good partners at the moment. I would suspect that it's just an idea that they've had around for a while, and they finally had an opportunity to put it in a book. But that's just an assumption.
That makes sense. The next thing at level 6 is a Bestial Soul. Increases, causing natural weapons of your beast form to count as magical. So you get magical claws, bite, and tail.
Yep.
And then you can also alter your form to adapt to your surroundings. When you finish a short or long rest, choose one of the following benefits, which lasts until you finish your next short or long rest. The fact that this is both short and long is pretty interesting, actually. I would have thought that like an adaptation like this would be a long rest thing, but I have noticed that a lot of it is like short rest and long rest, and there's not very much like in the play PHB where it's like, no, you get this at a long rest sort of thing at the minute. So you gain a swimming speed, and you can breathe underwater. You gain climbing speed, and you can basically spider climb naturally. And then you get a jump. You can extend your jump by a number of feet equal to the check's total. You can make this special jump check only once per turn. So you can basically roll a D 20. Add your athletics, which you'll probably be proficient in. You'll get advantage if you're raging, and you could potentially jump an additional 10 feet to whatever you were doing before. Like, you turn into a kangaroo. So those are pretty.
You know what? Nobody ever uses jump in D&D, but, playing Baldur's Gate 3, jump is super useful. I cannot tell you how many times I've used jump to get out of some sticky situations in Baldur's Gate. But that's besides the point. Let's not get too far off topic. What's the next one? Infectious Fury. Tell us what it is, Addison.
This is your level 10 Path of the Beast feature. When you hit a creature with natural weapons whilst you're raging, the beast within you can curse your target with rabid fury. So they must make a wisdom saving throw, DC equals 8 plus constitution plus prof, or suffer one of the following effects that you choose. They must use its reaction to make a melee attack against another creature of your choice that you can see. So you can go, right, attack them now. You basically give them rabies. I like this. Or they take 2d12 psychic damage. That's pretty big.
Yeah, the psychic damage intrigues me. I mean, I can't think of an animal or a beast that would damage anybody mentally.
Yeah,
I feel like maybe necrotic or poison would have been more appropriate there rather than psychic damage.
And then you can use this feature, and this is a massive thing that I've seen, and I do want to talk to you about this quickly. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Now, that's interesting, the proficiency bonus thing, because it's usually the important modifier or just a definitive amount. So, like, for example, it would be like your con mod.
Yeah,
you get to use it the amount of times of your con mod or your charisma mod.
See,
but now they're saying
this is why I'm calling it 5.5e, because those decisions that they made for it to equal con mod back at the time probably made sense with their train of thinking. But as the game has adapted over the years, in response to how people play it and the amount of people that played it, that probably doesn't make sense anymore. They've probably refined it a little bit and thought, you know what, it doesn't make sense because you're only going to get a maximum of +5. But if we use proficiency bonus, what does proficiency go up to? That also goes up to +5. But it scales evenly as you level up, rather than just when you get an ASI or a magic item that can put it up. So
but doesn't it also fuck with your multi-class and everything, because your proficiency bonus is the same?
Well, that's a detriment. That's a risk that you're going to have to make when you multi-class. Actually, no, multi-class doesn't affect your proficiency.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, if you have two separate classes that have this feature, but say one is at level 1 and one is at a level that gives you a better proficiency bonus, that level 1 ability, I know it's probably not, this is just a really bad example, that level 1 ability that you should only get for like once or twice, because of your proficiency bonus, is now like you're getting it 5 times because you've dipped in that once.
Yeah.
So a lot of that's.
I think the way I'm looking at it is, it's your character that's leveling up, not your class. If that makes sense. That's the way I'm looking at it, and that's why I don't really have a problem with it. But I can absolutely see what you're saying.
Yeah, with proficiency bonus, it's your character. That's your ability to do things.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel as if like class levels are about your skill in that type of thing. Like, so, like, for example, in martial arts, this is the only example I've really got. I did taekwondo to a black belt level, and I could probably do that again with going back to training. But I couldn't then go to karate and do that at a black belt level as well. I'd have some basic understanding, but my technique in karate would not be the same as taekwondo or my kung fu technique. So I don't know. It seems weird to me.
My response to that, you're probably not going to like it, but first and foremost, D&D is a game. It's not a simulation. So you got to take some creative liberties to make it a fun game. That's true. That's where I'm at with it.
True.
What's next? Call of the Hunt. So this is level 14. The beast within you grows so powerful that you can spread its ferocity to others and gain resilience from them joining your hunt. When you enter
Oh,
rage, you
this
can
sounds
choose a
cool.
number of other willing creatures you can see within 30 feet of you, equal to your Constitution modifier. You gain 5 temporary hit points for each creature that accepts this feature. This is basically like super pack tactics. Until the rage ends, the chosen creatures can each use the following benefit once on each of your turns. When the creature hits a target with an attack roll and deals damage to it, the creature can roll a d6 and gain the bonus to the damage equal to the number rolled. And again, that is equal to proficiency bonus. Yeah, this is like mega pack tactics, and I really like it.
Yeah, that's a cool feature. I kind of like the thought of like, I feel like you said the flavor's good on this, like, because you can just roll up with your posse, rage, and go, yeah, like, what now?
Oh, all
Like,
right, we're gonna do this.
Do you want this? Do you want this?
Him.
Yeah, let's fucking go. Yeah, no, that's cool.
This is the football hooligan subclass.
It's
Come on, lads,
brilliant.
let's fucking get him, you Millwall cunts. And there we go. This video is gonna be flagged now.
But no, it's so good. And then we go to, in the next section, we
Path
go
of Wild
to
Magic. I did a video on Path
the
of Wild
Wild
Magic. Do we need to talk
Yeah.
about this one?
There has been some changes, but not a lot.
No,
I have been trying.
I did a video on the official final release of the class, not the UA.
Oh yeah.
But we can
Okay.
touch on it briefly. We don't need to go in super detail on this one.
I think it's cool. Yeah, you did the video. I think it's cool. I've been trying to make something like this for a long time.
Yeah.
Like homebrew something like this. You've seen some of my homebrew stuff. It takes me a while to make like. I've been like, I want like a wild magic sorcerer as a barbarian. Like every time they rage, something fucked up happens, and they did it. I'm like, either Wizards of the Coast have my house bugged, or I'm not that an original thinker. I think it's the latter. But
I'm with you. I would love for a wild magic version of every single class. I know that's probably not that practical, but I'm just saying I love it. No, I
want the ability to turn everyone into plants.
Coming soon to DM's Guild, the Pod of Many Things introduces wild magic subclass variants
for everyone.
Yes,
wild magic for everyone.
Single subclass, apart from barbarian and sorcerer, because it's done. But the other 11 subclasses, watch out for DM's Guild. Don't steal my idea, you motherfucker.
The next one is Bard. They get a ton of new spells on their new optional features. They get a ton of new spells. Color spray.
They make a lot of sense. These new spells. Color spray. That's just obvious. Command. That's just obvious. Aid. That's just obvious. Enlarge or reduce. If you're talking about penis or boobs, that's just obvious. Bard we're talking about. Mirror image. That's just obvious. I mean, I'm looking at
Heroes Feast. It's even obvious.
Why the hell were these not part of the Bard spell class before?
But I'm thinking this for all these additional spell lists, though. Like, I never noticed that some of these spells weren't on the list. I was like, and now I see them not on there now. I'm like, oh shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Why aren't they?
If you told me Color Spray was not available to Bards, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? What?
That's
see a lot of these in there. And then
like,
the main one, sympathy. Yeah, that should definitely be a Bard subclass.
Yeah. A bard spell, because of the fact that they manipulate emotions. They literally inspire people, or like cutting words to them. Like, I don't get it. So their new things, their new features, they get a second level bard feature. If a creature has a bardic inspiration dice, called a magical inspiration, by the way, they give if they have a magical dice, a bardic inspiration dice from you and cast a spell that restores hit points or deals damage, they can roll that die and choose the target affected by the spell. Add the number rolled as a bonus to hit points or regained or damage dealt. So they get to add that to.
So if they're holding
a spell roll,
if they're holding a bard die and the bard casts something that heals, they can also roll that die and give it to the recipient of that healing spell. Am I reading that correctly?
No, it's the person who has it can do that. So if I give my wizard it, they can add it to their fireball.
It says choose a target affected by the spell.
So if you
add the number rolled as a bonus to the hit points regained or damage. Okay, so it's damage or healing. Got it.
Can all bards like add to damage? Because I thought they only added to checks, unless I know Valor bards.
Valor bards can. Yeah. Some bards add, some bards retract. I can't remember which one's which off the top of my head. But this is really awkwardly worded.
Mhm.
I can see a lot of players reading this and thinking, wait, what do I need to do with this? And then just thinking,
I'm,
fuck it, I'm not going to bother using it because it's just so awkwardly written.
I also think that it's a bit weird that everyone gets that. That's not like a thing for like a certain bard,
Yeah.
when only certain birds can add to like weapon attacks. So I get it. Like they're using magical energy to charge you, so it makes sense that you can expend that magical energy with your own. But it kind of seems a bit odd. Kind of seems a bit like
Yeah,
they don't.
I think it's just giving the bardic inspiration that you hand out. I think it's just giving more use to that. Rather than just adding it to a saving throw or an attack or an ability check. It's just giving it more use, and I think that's kind of cool. I would like to see more options for the player to have for those instances where they're given a bardic inspiration die.
Yeah, they are limited, and sometimes you're just like, what am I supposed to fucking do with this? Like, I don't understand. Next one, Leon. What's the
All right, we
next
got
one?
bardic versatility. This is the level 4 feature. So whenever you would normally gain an ASI, you can replace one of the skills you chose for expertise with another one that you're not benefiting from, or you can replace a cantrip for another cantrip from the Bard spell list. And I think this is great. There are a lot of instances where players choose skills that they don't use, which they wish they could change. But, and I've been guilty of saying, no, you can't change it. But reading this, it's like, why don't you just let them change it? It doesn't make sense. Although saying that, I have let players change cantrips from time to time when they've leveled up, not specifically at level 4. And I guess there have been instances where I've let players change a cantrip, especially if it's one that they've chosen way back at level 1 and have never used, because I just think that's fair,
Yeah,
A player, when you choose your spells, especially at level 1, you don't know what you're going to use, are you? So it's only fair that people can change them.
I also think that it's cool if they change their cantrips to ones they've seen. Like, so they've if they have like we saw this person use that cantrip and I quite liked it.
Yeah, like the
Like,
I saw this animal, I'm going to become this animal.
Yeah. So like I think I let my wife do this with one of her characters. She's like, I don't use this like at all. And I was like, well, change it then at the next level up. I'll let you change it, and you'll say, right, I kind of dropped this because I never used it, but I saw because one of the other party members used it, and she found out she could use it. So I was like, you saw one of the other party members do it, and they taught you how to do it. Easy, simple. I do think that a lot of these additional rules are things that we could have just homebrewed, but I think giving it an official thing is good as well, because it means that people who are rules lawyers
it's going to get
are
rid of
now
arguments.
they're not allowed to be dicks anymore, because we're like, no, like, it's in the book now. It's in a book.
All those times you told me I couldn't change a cantrip, well, fuck you, motherfucker.
Let's look at the Bard colleges. We'll just look at creation, because obviously Eloquence has been out for a while with Theros, but creation, holy fuck, that is a lot of text. It's a lot of text, but it looks so cool.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, you basically can use the Song of the World, is kind of how they describe it, to the Song of Creation to make shit happen. Like,
you create
that's just so cool.
Moat of potential which orbits within 5 feet of that creature. The moat is intangible and invulnerable and lasts until the bardic inspiration die is lost. It looks like a musical note, a star, a flower, or another symbol of art or life that you choose. Excellent flavor. Really like the flavor in this book. But what can you do? You can use it for an ability check. So if you use it for an ability check, the creature can roll the bardic inspiration die again and choose which roll to use, which is cool.
So you get inspiration advantage. Cool.
For an attack roll, immediately after the creature rolls the bardic inspiration die to add it to the attack roll against it, the moat thunderously shatters. The target and each creature of your choice that you can see within 5 feet of it must succeed on a con saving throw. or take thunder damage equal to the number rolled on the Bardic Inspiration die. That is so
Nice.
cool.
That's pretty cool.
I'm thinking of what's the game? Oh, the Jack Black game. What was it called?
A Brutal Legend.
Brutal Legend.
Brutal Legend.
Yeah, where it's just going around hitting motherfuckers with music. That's all I'm thinking of with this class in particular.
Yeah, definitely.
Saving throw immediately after the creature rolls the Bardic Inspiration die and adds it to the saving throw. The mote vanishes with a soft sound of music, causing the creature to gain temporary hit points equal to the number rolled on the Bardic Inspiration die plus your Charisma modifier.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Because if you're in the thick of it and you're feeling a bit like, oh no, I'm gonna die. Those what? You're probably going to start with a +3 if you use a standard array.
Yeah.
You're going to be there like, thank fucking God.
Yeah, so Bardic Inspiration starts at a D6, so you can get up to like a +9.
Yeah,
Does
that's
it start
good.
At a D6 or does it? Yeah, it starts at a D6.
Yeah, D6.
Yeah, so you can get
D6.
+9 off the bat. That's kind of cool.
The next one is Performance of Creation. As an action, you channel the magic of the Song of Creation to create a non-magical item of your choice in an occupied space within 10 feet of you. The item must appear on the surface or in a liquid that can support it. The gold value of the item can't be more than 20 times your bard level, and the item must be medium or smaller. Holy shit. The item glimmers softly and the creatures can faintly hear music when touching it. The created item disappears after a number of hours equal to your proficiency bonus. For example, of items you can see, look at the equipment. Once you've created an item with this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest unless you expend a spell slot of 2nd level or higher to use this feature again. Oh my god, I'm going to tell you how I would use this in a minute. You can have only one item created by this feature at a time. If you use this action and already have an item with this feature, the first one immediately vanishes. The size of your item you can create from this feature increases by one size category when you reach 6th level to large and 14th level to huge. Mate, I am making money. I am making bank. Every time we stop at a shop, I'm selling them the thing that I created for it to disappear like as soon as I leave town.
I am so surprised. This feels like a money glitch from like The Witcher 3 or something.
Yeah. Killing cows and the big like demon cow's gonna come and fuck you up. Like, no, this is. Oh man. I don't know if I'm the only person who's thought of it like that, but if I've just put that out into the internet, I'm not sorry, DMs. Deal with it. But yeah,
you get this at level 3, so 3 times 20 is 60. So you know that's shield money, Addison. You can go and buy a shield with that money and still change.
yeah. You can buy a lot of.
Putting that on a T-shirt. Shield money.
Yeah, yeah. There is so much you can do. Like, because as soon as the more higher you get, 5 times 20 is 100. Like, imagine getting something for 100 gold. Like, and you can, because it makes that soft sound as well, you can probably bullshit them that it's magical and say, well, it's magical, it makes that soft sound every time you touch it. You're gonna get more money.
Roll persuasion.
Roll persuasion.
You're gonna have expertise in it.
Yeah, like, mate, money. Oh, that's so good.
All right,
that's so good.
The next one, we've got animating performance, and we kind of glossed over this in the Artificer one, but there are a lot of summoning things in this book. So much summoning. The Artificer has that homunculus thing, which we kind of glossed over, but now the Bard can do an animating performance. So as an action, you target a larger or smaller non-magical item that you see within 30 feet of you and animate it. Are you thinking Beauty and the Beast? Because I'm thinking Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yeah, definitely. Be Our Guest is playing as soon as this motherfucker comes out. Like,
the animated item uses the dancing item stat block, which uses your proficiency bonus again. The item is friendly to you and your companions and obeys your commands. It lives for 1 hour or until it is reduced to 1 hit points or until you die. This is another thing that's very similar with all the things that you can summon now. In combat, the item shares your initiative count. All of the new things that you can summon, the Artificer thing, the new Ranger stuff, everything shares your initiative count. I really like that. One of the things that I didn't like about the PHP Ranger was that it doesn't go on your turn. But everything goes on your turn. Everything that you summon in this book goes on your turn. But anyway, let's have a look at the actual item itself. So the dancing item, large or smaller. That's very important. You can summon something that is large. That's insane. So +4 strength, +2 dex, +3 con, -3 int, nothing on wisdom, and then -2 on charisma. It's immutable, so nothing can alter its form. And I lost my internet connection there and lost my line to Addison. So quick little ninja edit. Anyway, Addison, do you want to take us back to where we were? I just finished talking about the dancing item. So if you want to pick up from Creative Crescendo.
Yeah, so 14th level College of Creation feature. When you use your performance of creation feature, you can create more than one item at once. The number of items equals your charisma modifier. Be our guest, boys. They're all coming. The clock, the candlestick, the teapot. Minimum of 2 items. If you create an item that would exceed that number, you choose which of the previously created items disappears. Only one of these items can be of the maximum size you can create. The rest must be small or tiny. So obviously it gets bigger as you get higher levels.
Yes.
But yeah, no, that's interesting because these are actually quite strong. Have you seen the stat block?
Yeah, the stat block's crazy.
What's that?
Yeah, the stat block's crazy. So 10 hit points plus 5 times your bard level. And what level are you getting this? You're getting this at 6th level?
14.
So you're going to have 40 hit points.
No, Creative Crescendo. Yeah. And then Creative Crescendo's at 14th.
Yeah. So that's a crazy amount of hit points. You do the maths.
70.
Is that
70 hit points.
Is that plus the 10 or minus the 10?
Plus the 10. No, 80 then, yeah. So 80 hit points total for each item.
Yeah.
By that point, by 14th level, if you don't have +4, I don't know what you're doing. Right, so that's like, and these are like, that's like 4 additional PCs almost. They've got a strength of +4.
You know what? If
a dex of +2, a con of +3. This is in.
If I ever play this character and I get to 14th level, my character is putting in his backpack a teapot, a candlestick, and he's just pulling them out and going full bell.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be, no, that's a lot of fun though. Like I in one of my fantasy projects I was writing at uni, made a magic thing that was like this called Aetheric Resonance, where basically the bards of my world, they found like the magical note of items, and like that's how they manipulated them. Yeah. So I feel as if it's quite like that. So yeah, that's quite cool. The other one is College of Eloquence, which
we'll skip over that. That's already been.
We don't need to go over.
So that takes us to Cleric.
That takes us to Cleric. This is probably going to be the last one we're going to get to do today. We know that this is probably going to be multiple videos, but hopefully you can come back to us maybe later on this week or next week, and we will go through the rest because we've not got to Monk yet, and I need to get to Monk. I need to get there, Leon.
Well, if we stop getting sidetracked, and I know I'm sidetracking us now, if we stop getting sidetracked and stick with it, we can do more subclasses in the next video. But all right, Karen, go.
Yeah. So you get, there's optional class features, additional cleric spells. Again, that idea of like, oh my shit, these weren't on the cleric spell list, like Sunbeam.
Or of vitality, or of life, or of purity. They all just make sense.
Summon Celestial. Like,
how is Power Word Healed? Yeah. Not a cleric spell.
Oh god. But you can also
Spirit Shroud.
Yeah.
Thing to say.
Yeah.
But they all just make sense.
They all just make sense. So it's really odd. The first additional feat you get is Harness Divine Power. Second level, you can expend a use of your channel divinity to fuel your spells. As a bonus action, you touch your holy symbol, utter a prayer, and regain 1 expended spell slot, the level of which can be no higher than half your proficiency bonus, rounded up. So the number of times you can use this feature is based on the level you've reached in this class. Second level once, 6th level twice, 18th level thrice. I like the fact that they actually use the word thrice. You regain all expended uses when you. So yeah, you can expend channel divinity to regain a spell slot. Useful, I guess.
Yeah, definitely useful because sometimes your channel divinity can be incredibly situational. So you've just got it sitting there in your resources and you can't really use it. So yeah, I think this is useful.
I think it's useful, but eventually you do get to a point where I feel as if wizards and clerics get like tons of spell slots. So you're just kind of there like, I very rarely have ever run out of spells on a cleric.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
But would you rather summon your spiritual weapon, or would you rather turn undead when you're fighting a dragon? I don't know.
That is true. I'll give you that. So the 4th level cleric feature is cantrip versatility. Whenever you reach a level in this class that grants an ability score improvement feature, you get to replace a cantrip again.
I'm guessing everybody's going to get that.
I say let them. Yeah, everyone's gonna. I think everybody's gonna get that. I think they should just be able to do it when they level up.
Yep.
I don't think it's as big a deal as they make up, but okay. So we've got 2 new divine domains. I believe Peace is a new divine domain.
You missed one. You missed Blessed Shards.
Oh, sorry. 8th level cleric feature, which replaces the divine strike or potent spellcasting feature. So this one is the first one we've seen that actually says it replaces something.
Yeah.
Like, this is not additional to.
Yeah.
You are blessed with divine might and power. When a creature takes damage from one of your cantrips or weapon attacks, you can add a d8 of radiant damage. Isn't that just what it did? Kind of. Once you deal this damage, you can't use this feature again until the start of your next turn. I feel potent spellcasting allowed you to re-roll damage, right?
I think so.
Or did it allow you to add extra damage?
Is an extra 1d8 really?
And divine strike gives you
8th level.
No, because you're already dealing like mega damage with cantrips at that point anyway. If you've got Toll the Dead at that point, haven't you got?
You still there? Hello?
Leon, you've gone again. I think.
Oh, okay. I'm here. I'm back.
Okay,
right.
so
let's crack on.
So the divine domains we've got are Order, but that came from, I'm gonna say, Ravnica, and that's basically like the police cleric.
Yep.
The Peace domain and the Twilight domain. So we're gonna go straight to Peace because Order's been out for a while. So the Peace clerics of the Peace domain to preside over the signing of treaties, and they are often asked to arbitrate in disputes. The cleric's blessing draws people together and helps them shoulder one another's burdens. And the cleric's magic aids those who are driven to fight for the way of peace. Ah, aren't they sweet? What do you think of that, Leon?
I think it sounds cool, but as we go through and look through the features of the subclass, it doesn't really sound very peaceful to me because you're helping people fight.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way about, is it the Oath of Redemption Paladin, who's like supposed to be pacifist,
yeah,
but then one of their main features is Divine Smite. You're a bit there like, but yeah, so you gain domain spell.
What is that film? It's a World War II film, and it stars Andrew Garfield. What was the name of that film? Anyway, it's
Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge. It reminds me of his character in that film, where he is in the army, but he refuses to use any weapons. He refuses to fight, so he just makes himself a medic, and he carries people off the battlefield. That's what this feels like to me. It doesn't really sound like a cleric of preventing fights. He's just, helping his friends from stopping his friends from dying. That's what it sounds like to me. That's not a bad thing. If that's the character you want to play, go for it. I think this would make a really interesting character.
Yeah, you get different spells for the domain at first level. So those are Heroism and Sanctuary at first level, Aid and Warding Bond at 3rd, Beacon of Hope and Sending at 5th. 7th is Aura of Purity, Otilux. I can never say his name right, but Otilux Resilient Sphere. And then 9th level Great Restoration. I'm going to say Rary's Telepathic Bond.
Yeah, Rary's Telepathic.
Or Rory's.
Yeah.
Telepathic Bond. They're spells, I guess.
They all make sense considering the flavor.
They make sense, but yeah, and they're not like things that are going to hurt people. You gain proficiency at first level. You also get Implement of Peace. You gain Insight, Performance, or Persuasion. Your choice. One of those. Makes sense.
Yeah.
This is like the most, out of all of them, I feel like this is the most vanilla one. Like, this is the one I'm like the least excited for. It sounded cool, and then I was like, oh, yeah. It's just kind of
combat is such a huge part of D&D. I don't know. This just feels kind of off, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like you can for emboldening bond, you can forge an empowering bond among people who are at peace with one another.
Pacifist is the word I was looking for. There we go.
As an action, you choose a number of willing creatures within 30 feet of you. That can include yourself, equal to your proficiency bonus. You create a magical bond among them for 10 minutes or until they use this feature again. While any bond... Oh, I'm getting bored of it already. This is the most white bread thing I've ever seen.
It is.
While any bonded creature is within 30 feet of another, the creature can roll a d4 and add the number to an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw it makes. So that's kind of like...
This isn't peace. You're just buffing your friends so they can hit.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sell this, so Leon, I need you to take over for the next bit so I can like rehype myself up because I'm just a bit like, I like pasta too.
Where were we up to? Were we on Balm of Peace?
Channel Divinity, yeah.
Channel Divinity, Balm of Peace. You can use your Channel Divinity to make your very presence a soothing balm. As an action, you can move up to your speed without provoking opportunity attacks, and when you move within 5 feet of any other creature during this action, you can restore a number of hit points to that creature equal to 2d6 plus your Wisdom modifier.
Holy shit, that's pretty good!
Yeah, there's a lot of healing. The creature can receive this healing only once when you take this action. Okay. Yeah.
That's a pretty powerful. That's a pretty powerful Channel Divinity. That's a lot more useful than some of the others.
Yeah, I feel like what this class is you know when someone says, "Oh, I think I'll be a cleric," and then another guy at the party says, "Oh, you're going to be the party healer." Then this is what they're expecting.
Yeah.
Clerics, they can heal, but they're not by definition a healer. Whereas this one is very much a healer.
Yeah.
Then you got level 6, Protective Bond. You bond the bond you forge between people helps them protect each other. When a creature affected by your emboldening bond is about to take damage, a second bonded creature within 30 feet of it can use its reaction to teleport to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of this first creature. You know what? I'm coming around to this as we read through it. This does sound like a really useful utility character.
I feel as if it's getting better as it levels up. Like at the beginning, it's a bit like, man, I am useless, and then you get to this point and you're actually like, oh no, I can do shit now. Like, yeah, this is fine.
The thing is, the bard is the very definition of a utility character, but the bard is fun. The bard brings the flavor to the pasta, whereas this is just bland pasta. You know, the bard is the tomato sauce and the parmesan.
But this is literally just like, yo, this is poor students at a few weeks after loan month. Yeah.
So level 8, you got potent spellcasting, which allows you to add your wisdom modifier to the.
That's what it is.
With a cantrip. Expansive.
Very peaceful.
Bond at level 17, your capstone. The benefits of your emboldening bond and protective bond features now work when the creatures are within 60 feet of each other. Moreover, when a creature uses a protective bond to take someone else's damage, the creature has resistant to that damage. That does sound really cool, actually. You know what? If I'm going to do if I'm going to start a campaign at level 6, this would be useful. Prior to that, I really don't see myself ever playing this subclass.
No, I agree with you on that one. Right, let's
quickly move on to the Twilight Domain. I first need to say this about the Twilight Domain cleric. The artwork for this is fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah, totally.
That human cleric
it
looks Twilight, with the purple robes, with the white and the stars. That is one of the best pieces of artwork, character artwork I've seen in a D&D book by far. I'm in love with that artwork, and the artwork alone has sold me on this class and makes me want to play whatever the heck this class is.
Go on then, take it away then. You're excited. Tell me what you know.
I want to learn what's in here. All right, so we'll start with the spells. So Fairy Fire, a fantastic spell. It's one of my favorite if I'm playing a bard. Sleep, excellent for those lower levels, but useless as you level up. You get Moonbeam, See Invisibility at level 3. Level 5.
Moonbeam's really good.
Moonbeam's great. At level 5, you're going to get Aura of Vitality and Leomund's Tiny Hut. Level 7, Aura of Life and Greater Invisibility. And then finally at 9th level, you get Circle of Power and Mislead. So a solid selection of spells there. Which I feel
as if this is the Gloomstalker cleric. This is the one you're going into the Underdark with.
Maybe. Yeah. I can. I don't know. In the Underdark, you don't see the stars, do you?
No, but as in like I bet you at some point, watch, they're going to get dark vision.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah,
Like,
they do.
yeah,
Well,
they're gonna get dark vision. Oh,
right,
I didn't
first
want to
level.
spoil it for everyone, but
All right, so first level, proficiency with martial weapons and heavy armor. Excellent. You get,
finally.
here you go, Addison. You can see through the deepest gloom. This is the Eyes of Night feature at level 1. You have dark vision out to a range of 300 feet.
Holy shit! Like, I didn't see that number. Like,
I'm not
what?
done. I'm not done, Addison. I'm not done. As an action, you can magically share the dark vision of this feature with willing creatures you can see within 10 feet of you, equal to your wisdom modifier. You can give your whole party 300 feet of dark vision.
Humans have just become useful, boys, in the dark. Here we go. Let's go.
I mean, the Shadow Sorcerer gets, what, 120 feet?
Yeah, Shadow Sorcerer, Drow, and Duragar and everybody who literally live underground only get 120 feet.
Yeah, yeah. 300
So this...
feet. It's more than double anything else. It's insane. I love it. It only lasts.
I suppose it makes sense.
An hour's fine, you know. Just save it for when the battle starts and when you're surrounded by, a bunch of boogeymen. Just, hey, everybody, come stand next to me and you can see. All right, you also get a third thing at level 1. You get Vigilant Blessing. The knight has taught you to be vigilant. As an action, you get one creature you touch, including possibly yourself, advantage on the next initiative roll the creature makes.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
You basically get alert. Like, you can't be surprised. Unless you still roll shit on advantage, in which case, oops.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Right, where are we up to? We got the Channel Divinity. So, Twilight Sanctuary. You can use your Channel Divinity to refresh your allies with Soothing Twilight. As an action, you present your holy symbol and a sphere of twilight emanates from you. The sphere is centered on you, has a 30-foot radius, and is filled with dim light. The sphere moves with you. It lasts for an hour or until you are capacitated, yada, yada, yada. When a creature ends its turn in the sphere, you can grant that creature one of these benefits. So, 1, you grant it temporary hit points equal to 1d6 plus your cleric level, and you end one effect, causing it to be charmed or frightened.
In the dark, most of the creatures in the Underdark cause frightened effects, don't they? So that's actually really useful.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of things want to charm you, obviously, in the Abyss, like succubuses and demons and stuff.
I want to play Out of the Abyss just so I can use this subclass.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got? Steps of the Night. So 6th level, you draw on the mystical power of night to rise into the air. As a bonus action, when you are in dim light or darkness, you can magically give yourself a flying speed equal to your walking speed for 1 minute.
So at night you can fly. What is this? This is so fun.
A god at night time. You can use that equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain it when you finish a long rest. You're a god. You're a night god, basically.
Have you ever watched the show Seven Deadly Sins? No. The anime Seven Deadly. There's a character in that who, as the sun goes up, so like he's most powerful at midday.
Yeah.
And he's at his weakest at midnight because it's as the sun. And I feel like this is kind of like him, but the reverse. So like the more dark it is, the more you're like, yes, midnight, I'm ready to go.
Love this cleric. I really want to play one. All right, what have we got? Divine Strike at level 8. You gain the ability to infuse your weapons with divine energy. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can cause the attack to deal an extra 1d8 radiant damage, and that increases to 2d8 at 14th level. Yeah, that sounds cool. And then finally,
why would you take that other thing? We've now seen potent spellcasting and this. You wouldn't, and Divine Strike. You wouldn't take that other thing, surely.
You wouldn't.
But never mind.
You wouldn't. And finally, level 17, Twilight Shroud. The twilight that you summon offers protective embrace. You and your allies have half cover while in the sphere created by your Twilight Sanctuary. Right. All right, let's break this down. So you got 300 feet, which you can give to your entire party. Okay. When it's dark, you can fucking fly. You can summon a sphere and put all of your people in it, which gives them half cover. How is this not instantly the best subclass in the entire game? Because
also as well, your Twilight Sanctuary is filled with dim light, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let me just have a look. So you can fly in your Twilight Sanctuary.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's so good. That's so much fun. Oh my god.
I think that's
we need to
leave it. I don't think we can top this for a video.
No, but if you're still here and you're still watching, you're still listening, I hope you liked our little deep dive into Tasha's Cauldron and everything. We're not going to finish with Dio Deck of Many Questions today due to the fact that this is going to be a multiple part episode where we're going to kick off with the Druid next time. But yeah, I think I was going to ask for like a current.
Out, and then we'll do the rest of Tasha's eventually, all in due time. There's a lot to go through in here, and I'm really enjoying it.
What? So far, our video title is Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, boiling hot or barely bubbling. Where are we at the moment, Leon? Where do we think? Where are we for putting it so far?
I think if you're gonna compare this to something, you have to compare it to Xanathar. Already, I am enjoying some of the subclasses in here a lot more than I have in Xanathar. I feel like they're thinking out of the box and bringing in a lot of new concepts, a lot of new ways of keeping the same rules but adding some more variety to it. I feel like Xanathar is probably just PHB 1.5, whereas this is definitely PHB 2.0. And as I said earlier, I definitely think that this is taking 5e in the direction of 5.5e. And those are my closing thoughts for this episode.
I am the same. I think that I enjoy it. There are a couple of things where I'm a bit like meh, like it's average, it's mid, but the rest, like that Twilight Cleric. That's insane. I think at the end of this, what we'll do is we will make a list of the subclasses we would play from each one based on what we've read so far, and say this is our list of subclasses that we think rock. But yeah, thank you very much. We are going to see you either later on this week or next week. We're going to bring you some more Tasha's Cauldron and everything. We're going to hopefully judge, finally, whether it's boiling hot or barely bubbling. And I hope wherever you are and whenever you are safe, you are well, and I hope you chill out with us again. Thank you very much. Peace.